started. Thank you for being here. Again, my name is Daniel Tucker. I'm proud to be the Research Network Chair here for Arts and Society, and just wanted to welcome you to our second day. And there's just a few bits of orientation to the next few hours that I wanted to provide. We're going to have a plenary speaker just momentarily, and then afterwards we'll have coffee out in the lobby, and then at 11 o'clock we're going to go up to the 8th floor to have a series of shorter workshops and poster sessions. And then at 11 o'clock we'll come back down into this room for another plenary before we then enter into a day that was similar to yesterday with parallel sessions and a lunch break and all that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Cleo to give our introduction.
Good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, scholars, and artists. It is my great pleasure to welcome Professor Titika Dimitroulia, the distinguished scholar whose work has made a significant contribution to the field, and we are honored to have her with us today. Titika Dimitroulia is Professor of Translation Theory and Practice at the Department of Theatre Studies at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. She studied Classical Philology at the University of Athens before pursuing postgraduate studies in modern Greek studies and French literature at the Sorbonne, and later completed her PhD at Panteion University with a dissertation on translation in the digital age. She is fluent in English, French, and Italian, has working knowledge of German, and a strong philological background in ancient Greek and Latin. Her academic career includes long-standing service at Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, where she taught in the Department of French Language and Literature, progressing from assistant to associate and then full professor before moving to the University of Athens. The title of her keynote address is Rethinking Human-Machine Interaction in the Arts During the AI Era. We look forward to hearing her insights on this timely and thought-provoking topic. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Professor Dimitroulia.
Dear colleagues, dear students, dear all, good morning. I would like to warmly thank the Scientific and Organizing Committee of the conference for this invitation and express my delight at being here with you today with people with whom I share, I'm sure, the same concerns and anxieties about our present and future in arts, in society and for society. My presentation is about the human-machine interaction in the arts during the AI era as these new developments in technology these new developments in technology that are not so new as they seem to be or said to be have made a great shift in how we conceptualize creativity and creation. And just to start, I would like to show a picture of how people in 1661 were conceiving Theatrum Machinarum Novum, the new machines theater, how they were conceiving the future with all these machines that were welcomed, that were more than desirable, and in this period exactly started all the discourse about the machines that accompanied the technological turn until our days. As Frederick Jameson says, one of the main features of our cultural situation, cultural status, the cultural circumstances of postmodernism as the late capitalism, is the waning of history. So perhaps in order to rethink the human-machine interaction or synergy or whatever term we can use to define this relationship between tools, machines and artists and arts, perhaps we should take a look to what this relationship had, which form had this relationship in the past. Because we know very well that creativity is a social and very old and social competence and instinct, and that art has always used tools or machines, or tools and machines, and artists have invented tools and machines to support their practice. As you can see, I'm not so fluent in English as Leo said to you. I apologize. It's my third language. But still, I do my best. If you need any clarification, you will tell me. Just a clarification on tools and machines. Obviously, there are two separate concepts, and there has been a long debate on what is a tool, what a machine. What's the difference between the two? Still, it seems that Karl Marx was right saying that the difference between the two does not solely lay to the source of power, human labor for the tool, animal, water, wind, or whatever other natural force for the machine. I think that the difference is a difference of complexity. According to Marx, the machine is a mechanism which, once set in motion, performs with its tools the same functions that were previously performed by whoever worked with the same tools. We know very well that Marx also conceptualized machines as capital, but as labor, but dead labor. While the workers were the live labor. That's why I showed before the Atom Machinarum Novum. That was what they aspired to, and that was what finally machines did in the industrial era. They were integrated in large-scale industry, in factories. They got assembled in systems of machines, and they escalated into giant automatons or mechanical monsters. Whatever this makes you think, it's maybe right, maybe wrong concerning our current status. So, yes, there is a difference between tools and machines, and humans have used tools since their first attempts to create, to paint, to sing, etc. And they continue to do so even in the 20th and 21st century. And they used the tools to make a work of art. They used also complicated and sophisticated machines to support the practice of an art, for example, theater, or to support the practice of an art based on scientific principles, as the Brunelleschi's tablet, perspective tablet. And we all know that all these inventions were really realized when the technological affordances were ready to do so, to realize them. I mean, there were inventions, they were conceived, they were partly realized, but finally all this finds its final form as the technology, which is a very dangerous concept according to Leo Marx, not to Karl Marx, and I will explain why, permit us to make them true. The same for printing, but here we are in the circulation of the works of art, and this is the first block printing of the Chinese Diamond Sutra, Buddhist text, the printing machine, the music box, and here just not to forget that the conceptual machines are very, very, very old. We have the Christus machines, the Golden Maidens, the Sephore, the self-propelling tripods, the automated bellows, and we have also the giant talos, here is his death, that were conceived and described in detail many centuries before such developments could be realized, such dreams. Another step in all this relationship between art and tools and machine art, and machine as art. We know very well that in the late 19th century, and there was a dominance of the machine in the industry, and this also shaped the cultural logic of modernity as related to the machine. And this is futurism, sorry, the Italian futurism, this is the Soviet futurism, there is surrealism that integrated this thinking, this love of the machine, this cult of the machine. And here you see Manifesto dell'arte meccanica futurista, and here you see, I can't really read it, how to Temas, that was a school, the Soviet Bauhaus school, let's say, and this is a book which cover was designed by L. Lisinski. And after all, we know that as the printing machines permitted the works, the literary works to circulate, as the other technologies also supported the photography, cinema, etc. Finally, the machine found its place as an object of art. And after the war, the reflection on the machine was so dense and intense that all sorts of new trends and movements were emerging that had technology at their core. And at this moment, in the 60s, where the counterculture is thriving, there was a great exhibit about the machine as seen at the end of the mechanical age, and also before many other exhibits, for example, of the group of English constructionists, to which Vera Spencer was part. Artist versus Machine was another exhibit in 1954. And of course, we had, in the context of Fluxus, for example, Nam June Paik, the first robot K456. It was a robot that was really moving All these attempts are attempts of artists to grasp the zeitgeist, to grasp the mechanical aura of the period, of the historical period, and to deal with this dominance of the machines that already had started to fade out. I mean, this title, The Machine as Seen at the End of the Mechanical Age, is already true in the 60s. And here is Tadeusz Kantor, the annihilating machine that was used in theater. And finally, who are now in social media performances, like the one of Edith Kantor, in her computer and in her social media. This was just the beginning in the 60s, and sorry. And then there has been the great shift. And what was the great shift? Was the first attempts for the machine to be an artist, and in many, in the discourse on AI, we often include this historical overview. I mean this reference to all the attempts of automatization of writing that precede the generative AI. And these attempts date from the 60s. For example, Theo Lutz and his auto-poems, as he used to define them, stochastische Texte, or Nanni Balestrini and his tape marks 1 and 2. Those experiments were the first experiments of automatic text generation, so we are not very is it very different from what is today generative AI? I think it is, but still there are similarities and analogies. And the first collection of poems written entirely from generator, La Machine à Écrire. This is the prehistory, as even the machines of Hephaestus or Talos are also prehistory of all the technological advances and developments of our era. And prehistory and history, we need to know, to better understand it, and to better think through the new developments. So, what is the great shift? The great shift is that while, for example, Theo Lutz had chosen the words put in the generator, and the same with Nanni Balestrini, who just combined different excerpts of texts, and the same Jean Baudot, who is a precursor of natural language technology. Here is a book written, it's an AI-generated book, with LLMs, large language models, which are constructed in a way that we do not know. I mean, we do not know which texts, not words, which texts are included. We have no documentation about the corpus, the corpora and the texts. We have no documentation, although there is a whole discourse on explainability and AI that explains in an even more difficult and darker manner these black boxes. We don't know how the transformers, the algorithms the neural systems on which generative AI is based upon are working. Yes, we do some experiments in reverse engineering. Yes, reverse engineering is a very, very important topic for all humanists, social scientists, and artists to understand how AI works, and also how AI can be used in a safer way, if that is valuable finally, in a safe and in not only safe, but in a creative way, just to see how the neurons match the patterns. Maybe it will show us something, not about language, but about thinking, or new things about what we used to think we knew. Still, this is not the case. And of course, still, generative AI is not the only AI we do use today. Machine learning is everywhere. But generative AI is a hype because it triggers hot debates about what is art, what is writing, who is the artist, who is the writer, what is human, what is intelligence, and where do we stand in all this. And another example, Ida Robot, Ida Meller, please focus on the price of this beautiful work. It's a deformed painting of Alan Turing. That is how it is described. And it has been sold $1 million. And this is the portrait of Edmund Bellamy, created by Generative Adversarial Network, but it was cheap, only $432,500. These are exactly the prices, I'm sure, that all artists in our time get for their works. So, there is a hype. There is a discourse, a technological discourse, and that's why Leo Marx says technology is a dangerous concept. Technology is the discourse on technique, as technique. So, technology has been developed in the beginning of the industrial era in an attempt to, as a concept and as a term, in an attempt to describe what technique did in the closed factories. So it was an ideological discourse on machines creating new forms of capital, new forms of value. So technology is a very recent concept, and it is dangerous because it sometimes makes difficult to trace who is the subject of the work, of the labor, and of history. And this is the case also with the computer, because this discourse now is auto-generated. I mean, it's obvious for everyone because it's already done before for other machines, that there is a revolution from the analog to the digital, and this revolution is always a progress and a positive revolution. What is not really what it happens, because we all know that all inventions are collective, all inventions are first conceptualized and maybe a long period of time after can be realized. All inventions presuppose hard work, human work. All technologies, machines, etc. also presuppose human work. And finally, all this happens in the context of structures and hierarchies in a society that also shape the cultural logic. But in this society, there are also the institutions that make the public policy. So let me show you how the European Parliament, in a briefing on technology and arts, defined the synergetic relationship between technology and the arts to be optimized for both of them. Please focus on the terms. Greater demand for products and services that combine artistic and technical skills in a wider range of domains, as well as greater capacity of companies to deliver them. Breakthroughs in the application of virtual and augmented reality, creating new platforms for artistic expression. Growing pervasiveness of games and gaming platforms, making links between creative activities and other fields, such as artificial intelligence and machine learning. More accessible digital tools and more people using them for creative purposes in a wide range of contexts, etc., etc. Of course, this discourse, which is the institutional discourse, is on art and technology. It is on platforms, it is on societies, on companies, it is on digital tools, and all this is interrelated, interlinked with creativity. So maybe we need to rethink this human-machine interaction and synergy and relations and the linking and relationship in order to redefine creativity, creation, art, and even society. And please let me show you something that I like very much. It is from a seminar in the Netherlands Institute for Advanced Study in the Humanities and Social Sciences, a seminar on digitization and unsustainability. That is another great problem with AI. And I think we all would agree with the lady. I don't want AI to do my art and writing, so I can do my laundry and dishes. I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so that I can do art and writing. Two parameters. Clio, that's it. For AI goes to war, we all know it. We all know the stories about the Iran war and the open AI and Anthropic, etc. And in a recent conference we had on literature and AI, many colleagues and researchers pointed out this danger that tomorrow we may be in front of a robot or an AI system, whatever it is, ready to kill us, as happened to other people. And of course, the data centers have arrived at the edge of the Arctic Circle. That means that they are ready to help the ice to melt, the melting of icebergs. So, what is this hype about AI if we do not take into account the materiality of AI? I mean, the huge resources in energy, the huge resources in water, and all the other resources needed for this AI conceived and realized in the direction it is now. And from these giants, technological giants, that sell it. So let me now refer to James Bridle, Bridal, whose insightful presentations we had the opportunity to listen yesterday. In a recent book, New Dark Age, 2018, not his last, he draws his title from the opening paragraph of the Call of Cthulhu, Howard Phillips Lovecraft. And I read this opening paragraph to see this new dark age. The most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents. We live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. The sciences, each training in its own direction, have hitherto harmed us little. But someday, the piecing together of dissociated knowledge will open up such terrifying vistas of reality and of our frightful position therein, that we shall either go mad from the revelation, or flee from the light into the peace and safety of the new dark age. And this is the title of his book. Bridal uses Lovecraftian themes to describe modern technology, algorithms, AI, big data, as an opaque systemic cloud that undermines our ability to understand reality. I would say to understand ourselves, reality, the world, everything. Accompanied as it is by a speech, a discourse promoting a new computational mythology replacing true thought. Other intellectuals, as François Rastier, for example, in a book, very interesting book entitled AI Killed Me, and he speaks through as ChatGPT had decided to that he's dead, that Rastier was dead, and didn't want to change its mind for no reason. I have the truth, there is false news, etc. Rastier is dead, and his book starts with this story with his friends trying to persuade ChatGPT, but no, François Rastier is not dead, etc. He talks about not only a mythology, but a mythology that lacks symbolic order, because we all know that AI does not, cannot, does not, and here is the question about what intelligence means, deal with meaning. It's just pattern matching. Are tools, machines, and data and quantitative methods the problem? This is the question, and there is another question: what do we do with all this? I come from digital humanities, so David Berry is someone I know well, and he's thinking too, and maybe many of you. David Berry refers to the neoliberal cult of dataism, which opposes the understanding of society and culture through the use of critical discourse on human affairs and leads to data-deterministic world. David Berry is optimist, and I say that because he introduces the explainability term, and there is also an explainability term in AI. I mean, there is a trend of explainability in these times, but still David Berry tries to define this explainability in a way that will be really explaining something. Explainability and explainability are tools for him of resistance and struggle against the obscure, in the dark, in every sense of the word, algorithms and their manipulation. And for Berry, distant humanities, which in my sense, and in the sense of many colleagues too, include all humanities, social sciences and the arts, and their study and the reflection upon them, can contribute to a new research agenda that will investigate the political and technical monopolies that intrude into our lives. He says, I believe that this will initially be achieved by activating a critical concept of explainability, secondly, by creating new tools, and finally, by theorizing a critique of computation and discourse. I find this program very close to what an artistic program could be about the use of technology, about the use of tools and machines in our time, in a direction different of the one that are used today. While I have already said that technology is a dangerous, for some, concept, today things are much complicated compared to the industrial era. But it's not only dataism that is the problem. Yes, there is dataism. Yes, there is a problem with dataism. Yes, the age can help us fight dataism, but the problem is that this dataism is related to the slow cancellation of future. This is an expression coined by Franco Bifo Berardi, and borrowed by Mark Fisher in all his work on capitalist realism, on ontology, on digital culture. So either science, although we need also to define science in its relationship with technology, as it has already made in technocracy, algorithmic capitalism and its ideology, that is capitalist realism, according to Fisher, a realism praising Fortina, there is no alternative, and the end of the future, that establishes a culture of constant acceleration, urgency, infinite flow and reiteration that annihilates imagination, creation and innovation. Perhaps there are similar programs in many domains that can help us fight all this development. Let me focus on one concrete feature concerning arts that we need to trace in our current cultural logic. Anne Kourou, in a recent book, 2024, says that we are now in a too late capitalism, not late capitalism, a too late capitalism, referring to all the crises adventing from all the choices that have been made in the past. And this too late capitalism imposes as its style in culture and art, and that's the important, immediacy. Talking about cutting out the middleman, economy, etc., I mean, all those critics, cultural critics, have interlinked the political, the social, the economical, the cultural, and of course the artistic. Kourou says that culture nowadays rejects distance, layers, processing, the medium problem. And all the choices promoted in the context of culture Setting can be seen in the explosive rise of photofiction and first-person memoirs in literature. Complex multi-perspective novels are not anymore an important trend. The dominance of TikTok videos, selfies, etc., and the immersive art experiences. So, for Kornblum, what is important is to fight against immediacy, against the intermediation, and not against the medium proper, because the machine nowadays in art is a medium proper. I mean that after 1950, for example, the machine, and especially after the 70s, the machine has been raised to the status of medium that works together with the other media in an art. And even arts can be considered as media, as we know very well from the debate on intermediarity. And then we need absolutely to make the difference between the technical medias of display, the screens for example, and the medias that maybe that they are maybe machines, they are maybe digital media that are used artistically and so ideologically and aesthetically as parts of the work of art. So it's not the medium, it's the abolition of the medium, it's immediacy the problem. And just to give an idea of what this fight against immediacy can give, there is a trend in theatre called mediatrix, Bonimaranka coined the term. Others, Eckersall, for example, and others, Seda Hilde, talk about new media dramaturgy or mediatized dramaturgy, etc. But what is this in the family of the term? They are works that either thematize the digital media or use them in a way that make them organic part of the work of art, of the theatre art. So equal to all the other codes or media used in their context. Here is a digital opera of a Greek collective, Mede Electronic, that is created on stage by live coding, and live coding creates the opera proper. And you can see, I'm not sure what you can see though, in form of a subtitle also used in the performance, not in the very typical conventional way. The code written by the live coder on screen as a subtitle. What is the interesting with mediatrology, for example? First, the fitting of the medium. The medium is not, we can see it, we can reflect upon it, we can see how it works, and it's very, if you have the opportunity to see this opera, the mechanical aura of the work is not, it's ostensive. So there is no immediacy, there is a reflection upon the digital media and a reflection upon the digital, digital culture and its impact on the contemporary life. So, yes, there is a certain reflection, a certain orientation, a certain form, and a certain option concerning the flow, immediacy, the perception of time, the perception of space, etc. Because this new cultural logic has an impact also on our way to conceive time. There is no time, there is an acronym, there is a continuous present in which we live, we create, we receive, we understand, we try to deal with all these innovations that finally, as Sebastian Altman has very aptly described it, are a change. There are changes all the time, innovations all the time. We are flooded with innovation, with creativity. And finally, there is a stagnation, a cultural stagnation, a reiteration, a recycling. What is exactly what AI does in concerning the words, a recycling of motifs, a retromania, a nostalgia. Excuse me. And a conventional nostalgia, but there is also a ontological nostalgia according to Fisher. And what is the ontological nostalgia? It's the nostalgia that brings to the fore all the lost futures, all the cancelled futures, but as pretexts for new futures. It's exactly the opposite. I mean, retromania is nostalgia for the past, although the past cannot easily be defined as we live in no time. Fisher said that as we have no place in Marcoset's thinking, we also have now no time in our epoch. So, as Sebastian Altman says, we must be very cynical not to accept and continue to be enthusiastic with all this discourse on creativity and innovation. And he suggests that what we need in art, but not only in art, is serendipity. We need to defend serendipity. We need to defend the fortune, the sagacity, all those presuppositions that were always the base for creation and creativity. So, we have three questions. Artistic innovation, for whom? Just for us, just for our colleagues, just for the platforms, just for our friends in the social media, for the local communities. And we need to adapt our practices to our targets. Artistic innovation, but why? Do we always need algorithms? Do we always need screens? Do we always need live coding to make theater or painting or whatever? Perhaps we need. I mean, we are not against digital technology. We are pro a different digital, a different digitality. And artistic innovation how? With no reflection upon the forms, with no reflection upon the media, with no account of the role of the media in culture and society. At any case, I think that the first is arts and innovation in arts in defense
Thank you very much, Professor Dimitroulia. Fascinating and intellectually stimulating talk. You really created algorithms between past and present, and all these algorithmic questions about artistic innovation. I'm sure it has inspired critical reflection and creative thinking, and we can process and open the floor for your questions.
Thank you so much for your talk. It's super interesting. I will try to formulate a question, and it might be a little bit of a provocation. And the examples that you showed from machine art, from history, both for making art happen, like in theater and scenography, and also modern art, including machines, where machines also become part of the art as material. And today, what we have, as you point out, is this technology that in a way democratizes image making. And of course, with the institutional art concept, art becomes art when an artist has produced art. But today everyone can produce something that for an untrained eye may look like art. But in the art world we wouldn't accept it as art if not the art market would jump on that train, right? But so maybe what I'm trying to get at is, can we see this development and also maybe become critical about our educational systems, that we are not training people enough in literacy when it comes to image making. Because I think what you are touching upon here is also about quality. So who decides what quality is and who can appreciate quality? And I don't know about, I think maybe here in Greece you have more of a cultural touch in your educational system. So in Sweden, where I come from, image making and learning about cultures in the visual area is very, it's not there in the educational system. So what I see is that people are really struggling to understand the difference between quality image